Picture this. You want it. You really, truly want it. The bigger house, the zero balance on your credit cards, an investment portfolio that actually makes money while you sleep, the career breakthrough you've been dreaming about for years. You read all the self-help books, you listened to the success podcasts on your morning commute, and you set your goals religiously every new year. But then, something weird, almost inexplicable happens. You find yourself right on the very verge of a major breakthrough, the biggest win of your life, and suddenly, you forget to send that crucial deal-closing email. You subconsciously pick a pointless, nasty fight with your best business partner. You mysteriously get sick with a headache right before the high-stakes presentation. Or perhaps most commonly, you just spend 3 days straight in a zombie-like state watching Netflix, absolutely paralyzed by procrastination. And in that quiet moment of defeat, you ask yourself the question, why am I doing this to myself? Why am I shooting myself in the foot? Most people look at this behavior and call it laziness, lack of motivation, or bad time management. But today, we're going to look at the terrifying hidden truth that your subconscious mind is desperately trying to keep from you. The truth is, you aren't actually afraid of failing. You've failed plenty of times. You know how that feels. You are terrified of actually winning. Welcome to the psychology of financial self-sabotage. Let's dissect the secret epidemic keeping high achievers broke. The fear of success. Okay, let's be real here for a second. If I walked up to you on the street right now and asked, "Hey, do you want to double your income next year?" You'd look at me like I was crazy and say, "Heck yes, absolutely," without missing a single beat. Consciously, on the surface, you absolutely love success. Who wouldn't? You want the lifestyle, the freedom, the respect. But your subconscious mind, that mysterious, deep place where all your primal fears, old programming, and fragmented childhood memories live, it's not looking at the glossy pictures in a magazine of the big screen TV, the sports car, or the fancy beach vacation. Your subconscious mind looks at success and it sees one thing and one thing only: a threat. Here is the single most important thing you need to understand about how your brain works. Its primary job, its number one evolutionary priority, is not to make you rich. Its primary job is to keep you safe and alive. And in the wild, millions of years ago, safe meant sticking closely with the tribe, blending in with the crowd, and absolutely never taking risks that could get you eaten by a tiger. In the modern concrete world, safe has been redefined as clinging desperately to the familiar status quo. Even if that familiar state is being broke, being unhappy, or being constantly stressed about how you're going to pay your bills next month. At least your brain knows that stress. It understands it intimately. It knows exactly how to survive it, because it's done it 1,000 times before. Stressed out you is the devil it knows. Success, however, is a massive, unknown region on your internal map. It's terrifying, undocumented territory. Success represents a fundamental change to who you are, and to your brain, change equals dangerous uncertainty. So when your subconscious smells success getting too close, it panics and pulls the giant fire alarm. It triggers a primitive panic response that shows up in your life not as a roaring tiger, but as paralysis, distraction, doubt, and self-sabotage. It's your ancient survival brain screaming at you. Stop. Go back to where it's safe. Don't make that money. Don't take that promotion. Sticking your neck out is dangerous. So why does your mind fundamentally believe that a healthy bank account and professional fulfillment are dangerous? Let's pull back the curtain and look at the 4 obscenely hidden, subconscious reasons why we ruthlessly sabotage our own financial growth. The first big hidden reason we sabotage our own success is the agonizing, deeply rooted fear of exposure. We all have that toxic little critical voice in the back of our heads, right? The one that constantly whispers, or sometimes shouts, "You're not that good. You don't have enough experience. You just got lucky this whole time. You're a fake." This is the well-known phenomenon of imposter syndrome, and it is incredibly common. But now, I want you to imagine you actually do succeed beyond your wildest dreams. Imagine you make all the money you ever wanted. Imagine you become the respected authority figure, the CEO, the leading expert in your field. Suddenly, that little critical voice stops whispering. It gets handed a massive microphone and a giant amplifier. The subconscious logic goes exactly like this. The higher I climb up this ladder, the bigger and more devastating the inevitable fall is going to be. If I stay here at the bottom of the pile, nobody really cares about me or notices me, and that's safe. But if I reach the top, the entire world is going to have its eyes on me. Everyone will finally notice that I am totally unqualified, that I have no idea what I'm doing, and I'm going to be exposed as a complete fraud on a massive, humiliating public stage. We unconsciously sabotage our own wealth and opportunities because deep down in the core of our being, we don't feel worthy of holding them. We are fundamentally terrified that the blinding glare of success will shine a spotlight directly on all our perceived flaws, vulnerabilities, and insecurities. It's that awful, paralyzing feeling that if you finally get that high-level corner office, that prestigious job title, or that massive investment contract, it is only a matter of when, not if, someone significant is going to walk in, snap their fingers, and say, "Wait a minute, I see through you. Who let this unqualified imposter in charge? Everyone look, this person is just winging it." To avoid that single moment of devastating humiliation, your subconscious mind decides it's actually better, safer, and less painful to just stay small, stay invisible, and stay struggling. It believes it's much safer to be almost successful, to be the person who had so much potential, but never, ever to be too successful. The second reason we sabotage our own growth is an absolute classic cultural narrative, but it's one that we very rarely admit to holding within ourselves. The truth is, we are fundamental, primal level afraid of the sheer, crushing weight of responsibility that comes along with having more money. We've all grown up hearing some variation of the classic phrase from literature and pop culture, "With great power comes great responsibility." But in the dark, irrational chambers of the subconscious mind, that translates directly to a much darker and more terrifying prediction. With great wealth comes absolutely terrifying and overwhelming new problems. Think about it logically for a second. When you are struggling financially, when you are living paycheck to paycheck, your fundamental problems, even though they are painful and difficult, are very, very simple and straightforward. The big problem of your life is, how do I scrape together enough money to pay my rent on the first of the month? How do I pay my power bill so they don't turn it off? How do I buy groceries? But what happens when you finally have money, freedom, and assets? Suddenly the problems of your life don't disappear. They fundamentally get a massive, complex, and high-stakes upgrade. Now the high-level problems are, how do I properly invest this money so I don't lose it all in a crash? What are the complicated tax implications of this massive breakthrough? Have I hired the right accountants and lawyers? Are my employees genuinely happy, or are they sabotaging me from within? Is my biggest competitor trying to sue me out of existence? Most importantly, are these new friends in my life because they genuinely like me for who I am? Or are they just here because they love what's in my bank account? Your subconscious looks at the successful person, the person with $1 million in assets, and it doesn't see freedom, joy, and luxury. It sees overwhelming stress. It sees a target. It sees endless, high-consequence decisions that have to be made every single day. It sees a target painted on your back. If you have ever unconsciously held the deeply unexamined thought that all rich people must be miserable, profoundly lonely, or always under threat of legal attack, then your magnificent, loving brain is going to work overtime to protect you from becoming that miserable monster. It will protectively and proactively sabotage your wealth and opportunities to keep you happy and simple, even if that means keeping you broke, stressed, and struggling. This is perhaps the deepest, most primal, and most devastating fear of all the ones we have discussed. The ancient fear that your personal success will fundamentally alienate you from the people you love. Humans are profoundly social creatures. Millions of years of evolution have built into us an ancient, powerful need to belong, to be part of the group, and never to wander alone. In our wild ancestral past, being expelled from the group meant death. And often, our modern personal sense of identity is built on a shared narrative of struggle, a common understanding of adversity that we share with our family, our circle of friends, and our community. Maybe your family, for multiple generations, has always been working class or middle class but struggling. They might have unconsciously reinforced the narrative, we aren't rich, but we are honest, hard-working people with integrity, effectively implying that rich people are the opposite. Or maybe you have a close-knit circle of friends that you meet with every week, and your entire social dynamic is built on complaining together about how the system is rigged, how all bosses are evil, and how rich people are inherently greedy and corrupt. What happens if you suddenly have a financial breakthrough that completely disrupts that shared narrative? What happens if you leave that struggle behind? Subconsciously, you become one of them. You threaten the group's shared identity, and you threaten the logic of their struggle. Subconsciously, you ask yourself the agonizing questions. Will my parents feel judged by my wealth? Will my friends treat me differently? Or worse, make passive-aggressive comments? Will they always expect me to pay the bill? Will they isolate me? Will I lose my tribe? The fear of being isolated from your friends and family is a massive, prehistoric monster on your map. To keep that crucial, vital connection with the people you love, your subconscious mind will protectively sabotage your success. It will keep your bank account low enough to ensure you still fit in and that you can still complain with everyone else. You sabotage your success because the thought of being alone at the top, alienated from your friends, is fundamentally scarier than being broke with your loved ones. Finally, the last powerful reason we sabotage our own financial growth is the deep-level programming, the powerful software that was installed into your developing brain before you were even 10 years old. Your family's deeply held money stories. Every family has them, and most of us go our entire adult lives without ever actually examining the money beliefs we inherited. We don't own them. We don't choose them. We just live them out every single day. Think back, honestly, to your childhood. How did your parents, uncles, and grandparents talk about money, wealth, and finances? What were the shared cultural beliefs of your family? Did you constantly hear phrases like, "Money doesn't grow on trees," "Money is the root of all evil," or the devastatingly harmful misquote, "It is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich person to enter the kingdom of God"? Was the underlying message that rich people must be dishonest? Look how they always screw over the little guy to get ahead. Only greedy people care about money. If you grew up fundamentally believing on a core level that having money, holding wealth, or being successful automatically meant you were greedy, dishonest, immoral, a bad person, or that you were literally going to go to hell, then your magnificent, loyal, loving subconscious mind is going to work overtime 24/7 with ruthless efficiency to make sure you remain a good, poor, honest person, just like your parents wanted you to be. It loves you, and it wants you safe in the identity of your family story. You could have the absolute best business strategy in the world. You could have an MBA from Harvard and a flawless professional network. But if your internal subconscious operating system is running a fundamental program that says, money is bad and successful people are corrupt, that powerful, deep-level software is going to execute its code and crash your financial computer every single time you start to succeed. It's not because you are flawed or stupid. It is because you are sacrificing your wealth and your growth to avoid becoming the villain of your family story. Okay, so we've pulled back the curtain, and we've seen that we are a complex, ancient mess of hidden fears, prehistoric social dynamic, and old family programming that is desperately trying to save us from our own growth. Is there any hope? Of course there is. And I'm happy to tell you that it does not require a PhD in psychology or $1 million for therapy to fix. The first, and honestly, the absolute most important step is simply awareness. You cannot possibly fix a problem that you don't even know exists. You cannot untie a knot that is invisible to your eyes. By simply watching this video, you have already begun the massive process of untying those knots. You are disrupting the automated subconscious script. The very next time you find yourself suddenly procrastinating on that massive deal-closing project, picking a pointless fight with your business partner, or about to spend money that you should be investing, I want you to make the decision to pause. Take a single, deep, calm breath. Bring your conscious mind online and look that fear square in the face. Ask yourself the honest, brutal question: is this laziness, Is this bad luck? Or, deep down, am I afraid of what happens next if this succeeding project succeeds? Identify the specific monster that is holding you back. Am I genuinely afraid of the overwhelming responsibility? Am I terrified that my parents will secretly judge me? Am I trying to prove my old childhood story right by remaining broke? Success is not a sprint. It's a grueling marathon that frequently requires you to change your dynamic identity. It requires you to become deeply comfortable with being the powerful person who makes the decisions, who handles the taxes, who manages the high-stakes investments, and yes, who might have to find a new, mature tribe that truly understands and celebrates your journey. Breaking the fear of success requires you to look that ancient fear in the eyes, recognize that it is trying to protect you, and have the courage to say, "Yes, I am terrified of what comes next, and I am going to have the courage to break through and execute my breakthrough anyway." Don't let the invisible wall of your prehistoric past stop your magnificent future. Break through. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.